Okay, looks like we are live. Let me check. Yes. Okay. Let me go to LinkedIn to make sure that I'm able to take your questions. Okay. We are live. Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Sudha Jamte, and this is Sudha Live. And I'm joining you from Silicon Valley, end of day Friday for me. And this is my happy hour as we talk about the week of Gen AI, what's happening to help you on your learning journey. So I'm going to bring you jobs, events, some analysis of stuff that's happening from a lens of, is this useful for us to even talk about it? What can you do and how can you benefit on your learning journey? And welcome to my new students from LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn has added this Sudha Live at office hour in the LinkedIn Learning app. So I see many of you coming from there from my new no code generative AI for business professionals class. So thank you. Let's get started. So what I'm going to do is this is streaming on YouTube and LinkedIn. Some of you might be seeing it here or there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to check only LinkedIn because I cannot be in both places at the same time. And thank you for joining. I see some of you going, coming in. I see the numbers go up. So you can just watch quietly, or you can use one of those emojis at the bottom. What I would prefer is if you ask me a question, add a comment, say something related to the topic so that we can make it interactive, right? Because the way I like to do this, I'm not going to compile what other people have done. I've done my own research on what I'm seeing in the world, have my own informed opinion. And the way I would like to do that is not just say, this is what I'm seeing, this is my thought process. I like to show stuff, right? So that's kind of my approach. So, one of the things other than jobs, events and calls and opportunities that I was telling you, the way I like to set it up is there are specific topics that my mind is focused on this week. So I would like to go to that, and then using that, I'm going to give you jobs. So I'm not going to give you a bunch of jobs, bunch of events, bunch of calls, and just discuss some topic that's happening there, but I'm going to kind of interweave that on key topics that I'm seeing that's happening. So couple weeks back, you have heard from me here in Sudha Live, which I did from San Jose State University, because I had gone to Lucas School of Management, and Emanuele Bianchini had joined me from Boston. And we met a EMBA group of professional not educators, we are the educators. They are the MBA students from professional leaders from automotive industry, from Ferrari. And we spoke to them about the future of autonomous vehicles. And that has been one of my topics. So many of you who have been taking my AI classes, either at Stanford or LinkedIn Learning or Business School of AI or any of my Spain universities classes, know my work in AI or AI ethics. But I used to teach autonomous vehicle business at Stanford, and I do a lot of workshop on the topic. And I track that space as a technology futurist because I believe the connected product space is big, and connected vehicle is leading us towards autonomous as a step in that direction. And so I visit SJSU two times a year with the visiting EMBA consortium professionals, and this was an extra group from Ferrari, or everyone from Ferrari. So it was a fun discussion. So we spoke about future of autonomous vehicles, saying, let's focus on where we are now and where they could go. And we spoke about digitizing the vehicle. So we looked at it as it could be a software direction or it could be the hardware direction, and both has to come together. And since this was an MBA class, we were thinking about how to think about the business dimension of this and how to make this happen. And Emmanuel is very big on digital twins, so he was focusing on the IoT aspect of it, and IoT on wheels, he called the segment. and had a discussion on, how to add digital twins and how to add connectivity to the vehicle and sensors and sensor fusion and all the data from that, right? So why am I talking about that this week? Because one of the things that bubbled up was KiwiBot. And some of you might know KiwiBot from previous conversations of mine. KiwiBot is a company that is an autonomous delivery bot. They used to do food delivery in San Jose, and they experimented I think they started in Berkeley University in here in California, and went to multiple universities. They've done various different things. It's a very, interesting startup. And at Business School of AI, I had done a live lab course with a select set of students. It was a small cohort, and we worked with KiwiBot. The way we do these live lab courses is I would teach, and that in that times we were looking at AI and machine learning. This was the pre-gen AI world, seems like a long time back, but we like to go hands-on, not just with the data and building stuff, but the reality of how you build, business and ROI and solve problems and the real industry stuff. And so KiwiBot was one of our partners for the class, and we met with the KiwiBot team. And my students came up with different ideas of what they could do, what data they had, what kind of value they could create for various different stakeholders, and came up with the AI. And eventually, in teams, they ended up building some kind of machine learning AI. But the interesting thing was how this was strategically going in various directions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an interview we did with David from KiwiBot while back, David Rodriguez. And then I'm going to show you why I'm saying this, and why they are in news and they are growing and scaling and doing interesting things and doing interesting kind of pivots. But we saw that coming from our initial conversation, because this was one of those companies which was doing, keeping all their options and exploring various things, but very grounded in growing and very good people. So let me share my screen. This one, I think you're able to see the KiwiBot screen. Yes, this was an interview David did, and then my whole course class team, we ended up going to visit KiwiBot. We did that too. We did a trip. That was a separate one, but we did that all around the same time.
Exactly. I think that's a good idea. So essentially, and just a comment for everyone, I will present some slides and I will present the product video first. But keep in mind, like, it's not bound to this topic. The idea is that I want to have a conversation with you where you can ask me about the elements that are relevant, and I'm pretty sure I will give you a good answer to that. So
he did give a very good answer to my students' questions.
Video.
I mean, we'd like to find how you arrived at the market product fit and how you're scaling. I know you're doing a lot of partnerships. Nobody tells you outside, unless you're in the inner circle of startups, how they're really scaling and what's their secret sauce. Suddenly we see that, companies
It's absolutely correct. And I will even share some cool stories. So that.
And anybody who's here who's local, please tell me. I could not ask the Stanford class yesterday to just say, hey, join me in person, because I'm not allowed to do a field trip for my Stanford class officially. But now we are outside. If anybody is here, I can take 3 more people. I can take 2 more, because
okay, this is all the old stuff.
But if anybody's interested, just let me know right here. Nothing formal. I'll add you to the invite.
Okay, perfect. So here we have our product video, which describes the nature of what are we doing in product specific.
It's super cute. So that's what they were doing, food delivery. And they did that in San Jose. Some of you, my students, were there, right? We tested this out and got some boba tea delivered to us. Okay, so I'm going to pause here. This video that for Weekly Wed recording. Weekly Wed is our weekly speaker series that I do, and my students host it now. Yashashwini hosts it on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. So if you're watching on YouTube, you know, to get to the Weekly Wed right there on YouTube. So you can go watch that. But the reason I wanted to show you that is because KiwiBot is back in use. And for those of you who are watching here, I see the numbers go up. Thank you for joining me. So I was showing an old video from a past Weekly Wed about KiwiBot, and I don't have any affiliation with any of the companies or any brand. I'm independent. When I'm showing something, I'm just excited about the company, the technology, something that they're doing, and I have a lesson to show you from that. So the question is, from what you saw from the video, can you imagine you saw delivery of food, right? So that use case is out. Can you imagine anything else that KiwiBot could be doing? So this is a question for you. If you imagine, if you are part of KiwiBot and you have this autonomous delivery vehicle, they showed you the LiDAR and the tech and the sensors that they had, so it could drive autonomously, and it did, right? And we saw that, and we got, they did test out delivery within, from different merchants, and, we got some boba tea delivered. So they did that. So outside of the food delivery use case, what do you think you would do if you were KiwiBot? What kind of pivot would you do to grow the business? And now they've raised money, they are international, they are a fun company. And the different kind of faces that KiwiBot had, that was one of their intentional design. They had a psychologist in the team, and they said, we want to be the most socially accepted robot. And so that was kind of their goal. That's why they call that life is sweet, like life is cute. So they had this so when the KiwiBot comes and it's looking for the customer, finally it reaches you, and it's recognizing you and waits the delivery. And when it reaches you, you could put use your QR code, show it, and then it'll open and you can get your food. At that point, it gives a nice smile. And so they tried to make it kind of, very the human interface and the design was very nicely done. And so it helps to have a psychologist on your team who cares about the same business goals that you're looking at. And so what would you do? What else would you do if it's not food delivery? And then I remember one of the teams that when they were looking at the different stakeholders and applications, remember they said by 2021, this was pre-COVID, I think it was 2019. And by 2021, we want to build hundreds of kiwis, and they did. And so one of the use cases, one of the AI application that my students came up with, one of the teams built, was how do you know if you want to scale? They had a certain number of these KiwiBot robots, and then they were scaling, and they were doing this test in multiple universities. They were scaling to multiple universities. So one group was saying, if we scale to multiple universities, what would be the revenue model? How many kiwis do you need? How many KiwiBots do you need? And then one of them said, what would it take to build and scale these KiwiBots? What would be the engineering of that look like? And what would be the cost of building each kiwi? Right. So they were actually looking at how many they had, because anytime you start off, especially in a hardware business, right, you start off, the first thing is going to be more expensive. The BOM cost is going to be expensive. Then you scale it for up to a point, it is going to be, it's not going to be very scalable. So you cannot have the cost. That's why, many of the startup products, IoT products, when you're trying to use them, they are expensive. And then once it gets scaled, then it becomes, cheaper, but it is intentionally done. It just doesn't happen magically. So KiwiBot was saying, okay, we want to build hundreds of these. What do we do? And how do we manage? What is the actual cost of this? If we take the fixed cost out, and if we look at the actual cost of building KiwiBot, what is the cost of each kiwi, and things like that. So the question is, if you were in the group, let's see, they could check on, thank you, Jessica, imagining that they will, with all terrains and also flying. Yes, that's amazing. Yes. They could check on the elderly. Make sure they're okay. Yes, that's a very good one. In fact, one of the use cases, this was not even a use case they planned for. Thank you for that comment and the suggestion. That was wonderful. So one of the things that they had done was when they tested this in Berkeley University, a lot of students felt that it was going only doing food delivery, but a lot of students felt that when they had to go across campus at night or at lonely times, uh, they followed the KiwiBot because they felt safer. It looks like it's totally autonomous, but at that point, what they were doing is they were connected to the cloud. Somebody was watching to make sure that the KiwiBots were functional and nothing was wrong. And so there was a whole team watching them, right? So people felt like we will just go behind the robot, and it is going to be safe. We are going to be safe. There was a certain psychology at play there. So that's a good one. Anybody else has any other idea? One of the things is important to is consider how to use AI and robots to bring people together rather than replacing human connections. Wellness checks, yeah, that's a wonderful one, where they can gather information. So you're going to where their KiwiBots is thinking about this, right? Because especially with autonomous vehicles, right? There are you think of this as it's driving autonomously, right? And so the application that we see out there is offering mobility. And so we have robotaxi. So we have Waymo offering robotaxi. Cruise was doing it, then got pulled out, and then now they're back. So there are, robotaxi is one. Delivery of goods, neuro. I see a lot of neuro here in Mountain View in Silicon Valley, and it's all delivering goods. But what you're saying is a very important point, that you should think about, that we are, as human, we are social beings, and there is a social human connection. So we should not think of this will deliver food, then it doesn't have to, human doesn't have to go do the delivery, or there's a human driver and it's replacing the human driver. That replacement is not the best attitude for long-term interest of AI coexisting with humanity. So that's an interesting topic where you're taking me, but I love that. I love your thinking. Thank you for that. So one of the use cases where KiwiBot is going towards is exactly in the direction. And I'll give you a clue. They were after working here in San Jose, one of the things they did is LA dot the Department of Transportation had a project in LA, and they had gone there. So it's related to that. Now, right now, the news is that I wanted to share is they have signed a deal with Washington, D.C. And that is the one I wanted to tell you about. They have actually partnered with Washington, D.C. Department of Transportation, it's called DDOT, to pilot an automated data collection system for sidewalk transport infrastructure. Let me share that screen so you can see what I'm talking about if you want to, follow David or do something. I hope my face, is usually that tiny window which shows my face is on the right corner by default on Zoom. I hope it's not blocking your view. I've just moved it to the left. I don't know if you're able to see it like that. So let me know if it is blocking. So I want you to see David with his spelling, because sometimes if you don't get the right spelling of people, you miss out on following them and learning about what they're doing. There might be a whole opportunity and a door that might just, close, and you won't even know that. So I'm very big on, remembering names and people right. So their partnership is with with DCD dot, the Department of Transportation, to collect data about sidewalks. So when we are talking about this is to do good for people and whatnot, what does that mean? So there is a ADA compliance, and with the without any PII, right? So if you're going around, and they will not collect your information. So in fact, one of the things that struck us when we were talking to David's team was they basically said, while we are going through all this, we have lots of data, but we do not want to, collect. We want to be respectful of people's data. We just don't want to put that to use. And so that is what their thinking was. So the question to you is, I am very congratulations, David and Kiviba team. I think it's a good thing that they are partnered on the sidewalk infrastructure project to collect data. So why would you think that collecting sidewalk data is a good thing? And when I say sidewalk data, think about the mobility scooters, right? And shared vehicles that you can just take and do a quick run if you are not driving, if you're just going from your whole home to the train station, and then you're going to take the train and then go to the city or something like that. Or people do a lot of that, and there are all these um, shared bikes, right? Shared bikes, shared scooters, and the like. So those are the shared vehicles that drive on the sidewalk, a lot of them, right? So this has been around for a long time, that the sidewalk is one where we go as pedestrians, we walk, and then there are these vehicles. And at one point they used to litter, then drop off the vehicles, and that used to be an issue. So I'm giving you a clue. So what can you do with the sidewalk data? So what does that mean? Is that a good thing? I do believe it's a good thing. So let me not make this a bigger conversation than it should be. It's a good thing, but tell me, do you have any thought on what can you do by getting the curb data, sidewalk data? Okay. And there is a whole mobility data foundation. That is one of the other open data sets that they collect on a standard. Mobility Data Foundation. So they came up with Open Mobility Foundation. Let me show you that. Come back. Let me check whether anybody has a comment back on LinkedIn. Thank you for engaging and talking to me, guys. So, so Jessica, what I'm going to show you is this Open Mobility Foundation. And what they have done is, no, this is not, no, this is the screen I'm seeing of you guys. Okay, I'm going to find the Open Mobility Foundation window. Okay. And there is a job in all this. I'm leading to an exciting job, guys. Don't think that I'm just like, updating about somebody. That's an interesting tech that I'm interested in. There is an open job. So for those of you who are new to this whole concept of there is data about the curbside and shared mobility, what is possible with it, there is this openmobility.org, openmobilityfoundation.org. They created the standard for how can we how can like a scooter company or a shared company, even shared mobility companies like Uber or Lyft, how can they share data of how many vehicles are running for each of these vehicles at what time, where did they pick up, where did they drop off? That is in their database. That information, Open Mobility Foundation created a standard for it, and then they partnered with a whole bunch of cities. So they have a lot of members and stuff. So that open mobility standard is the data set. So what they've done is they have created a lot of community projects based on that, right? And they've created a lot of tools, they've published the data, they validated the data, and then they have a whole bunch of projects. They even have them on GitHub if you just want to build it, or do you want to share your project, or you just want to go to a place and see what it is, right? What are the use cases, and they cover them, write about them. So you can see this is an area where you can go and see. So let me give you a very simple example. One thing is in San Francisco, and I'm not going to name a specific brand, but one of the shared mobility vehicles decided to redline a specific poor neighborhood, and they decided to drive around, make their vehicles available everywhere else. And so when the city looked at the open mobility data, so the open mobility data is the standard by which the companies are supposed to publish their data. The city will pull this information from various companies and create a dashboard and share that open for the public to see. So it creates transparency across all the companies. So it's not your individual ride or anything that is shared ahead, but it gives a bigger trend of where the bikes are and at what time people are taking it, how many people are taking it, where are the gaps. And they consistently found that there was a gap by this one company, and it was a specific poor neighborhood in San Francisco. And then they said, you cannot redline a neighborhood. That's not okay. If you do not give equitable access of mobility to everybody, you're out, and we will not allow you to, run in the city. And so this particular scooter company kicked and screamed a little bit, but then they came in and then they, opened it up for everybody. Think of this. It could be a poor neighborhood. Maybe the person from there cannot afford a car, and they could now pick up a scooter and then go attend an event, or they can go for an interview. They can go have a, opportunity comes with mobility. And so that's one of those examples. There's a lot of other things and amazing stuff people have put this. So you can find out, like, curbside repair. City can decide whether, where the curbside, the vehicles come from there, and then from there the curb runs to the road, right? So at that point, if the curb is broken, then they can go and say, oh, this needs fix. So there's a lot of different use cases. So check out that site. So that is what KiwiBot is going to do in terms of the mobility data, to collect that information for Washington, D.C. They did that for LA. So now I'm going to bring you to the job. The job is called the Populous Code the Curb Fellowship. What is Code the Curb? So basically, there is a US Smart Grant program, which is based on this concept of collecting data from the curbside and come up with innovative approaches. And exactly what you're talking about, Jessica, that this should be enhancing our humanity, our social connection, and build things. So I think you would be a great candidate for this fellowship. So here are the details, and you can apply. And I hope that works out good. Okay. So while I'm on this topic of this whole autonomous vehicle, I want to show you one more thing. The topic that we were talking, me and Emmanuel, when we were presenting, we'll see whether we can get the slides of that and we'll put it out, because I'm a big believer of sharing information. But one of the aspects that I was focusing on was on the software or wheels. We both were focused on this connection of the vehicle getting digitized, hardware, software, were two dimensions of it. But the software aspect of it is very exciting for me. And so I just found that, there is a course on LinkedIn Learning, which just popped up. And I was like, I cannot believe it. And the thing is, it's not just a course on LinkedIn Learning. It is an audio course. So which means, let me show that. So which means you can be driving and listen to this course. You can be doing anything else. You don't have to be tethered to a device watching it, doing something, and then you can listen to this. So this is called Software is Eating Your Car. It's a very catchy name, isn't it? Okay, so I wanted to show you, where are we now? No, which video do you want to see? I can show you one of them. Balancing automotive and technology. Thank you.
You have the tech companies that obviously are much faster. They are used to innovation at the speed of light.
I'm not going to go start here. Yeah.
Do you see a place for the traditional automotive industry, or do you think this is just going to be dominated by tech companies?
So this is an excellent question. And I think the jury is out if I look at it today. And you do see them coming with very different capabilities. The auto companies come in and they do understand the complexity of assembling the hundreds of parts, of playing regulation, understanding what they need to do to deliver a safe experience eventually. They also understand all the differences on a regional level, because driving a vehicle in one place is very different from another place. Tech companies are learning this the hard way at the moment. But then on the other side, you have the tech companies that obviously are much faster. They are used to innovation at the speed of light, and they basically release new capabilities every few months. But they get to the point of being careful about the potential liabilities, as I said before, of life and death questions. And if you get stuck in this, and there were some spectacular such cases in the last 2 years of self-driving attempts by technology companies that basically blew up completely. And I think we will see in the near future how somebody is probably putting all their chips on the table and getting this really to the market.
Okay, so I want to pause here because I spent a lot of time on this AV segment, and this is all AI inside the vehicle, in the curb, in the autonomous vehicle, and it's one of the topics very dear to me. So I needed to bring that to you. So let me move on from here. The other thing is, some of you have come from my LinkedIn course, right? I just want to do justice to it. If you have a specific question that you have because you took any of my recent courses and you felt like you had a question and you could ask me, please ask away, because I would give priority to that. Let me see if anybody else is here. Any other questions is popping up. I see the number of people going up or down. I don't get to know who you are. So I can see your questions and comments. So thank you for that. I hope that was inspiring for you, Jessica. I really appreciate you engaging and, giving me your suggestion on that. Because one of the things I do is I teach AI ethics at Barcelona Technology School to 4 different master's programs. And everywhere I teach AI, I have a AI ethics lens to do that. Because these days, there are like more and more LLMs that are coming up, more and more APIs and technologies that is coming up. And then the number of regulations is also going up. So I saw a recent report from Stanford, and they actually numbered how many LLMs were launched in the last year, and they said how many regulations have been launched or released in the last year. So it was kind of sad in a way, but I found it, amusing that, we had to kind of count the number of regulations. And so I believe in teaching AI ethics when introducing AI to people directly. So I like people who intuitively think like you, and you're thinking about the humanity of it. So I appreciate that. Okay. I have another interesting announcement. I want to congratulate somebody. Bonaventure Dosu. He has come up with this new book his first book called Outshining the Odds. He is a real research prodigy, the inspiring journey of a research prodigy. And it's a Kindle edition. It's $9.99. I have pre-ordered. The book is coming out on the 29th. I hope you will check it out too. And the reason I am following Bonaventure is because I'm a big fan of Bonaventure from his work. I did not know about his journey. He's put out a couple chapters out there. So if you want to get a taste of that, that's inspiring. But Bonaventure is a PhD scholar in Myla Institute in Canada, and is one of those pioneers in the language AI space. So one of the areas that I work on is inclusion in language AI. And it's a interesting technical problem and an interesting ethics problem and a human problem. So I find that very fascinating to engage on that. So I work on an organization called Global South in AI, where we train AI researchers, and we'll have a call out in fall, and we end up bringing our new researchers to New RIPS conference by December. And this is focused on bringing inclusion to various world languages, various different local applications. And it's very inspiring because people are doing interesting things. So that's how I got to meet Bonaventure at New RIPS last year, not this December, the previous December. And he was one of our keynote speakers, and he presented his technical work on how to create language models for African languages. And there are thousands and thousands of languages that are left behind because they're called low resource languages, because they do not have enough data that is that has English translation. And so we miss out on creating the embeddings and tokenization for that particular language families. And he's built stuff, and he's published it. It's an open source. And his book covers a lot of things of his journey, but also about his work. He's really a true research prodigy. So I'm going to get his book on 29th, and then on Monday. And then on Wednesday, Bonaventure is going to come to Weekly Wed at Business School of AI. So if you're on LinkedIn, the easiest way to do it is we are not streaming Weekly Wed on LinkedIn because it becomes a lot of different streaming sessions. We want to have a closed group conversation on Zoom. So the easiest thing is, if you follow Business School of AI on LinkedIn, everything that is streaming will also stream there. We will also put out information on, what is coming up next. Or if you follow my newsletter called Jamte newsletter, I'm going to come back, find you on LinkedIn. It is called bit.ly/Jamte newsletter. So every link that I'm sharing here, a lot more of the jobs and events that I will be sharing here are all going to be there. And so you'll find out about the weekly VED and how to join that. And so one of the other things that came up in the news recently was Amazon had these stores called walkout stores. I did not know they were called walkout stores. I tracked them in the beginning, but then the name sounded funny when I heard it recently. So this is this checkout-less stores where you walk in, put things in your cart, and then you just leave, and then it will automatically look at your Amazon app and take money from your wallet. And so they had all these cameras watching whether you're putting things inside, taking it out. It's computer vision, right? And computer vision has very practical applications in manufacturing, in all kinds of support, like product things, right? So I'm looking that way because there is a pole in my backyard, and I'm thinking, oh, those poles that they have from telecom companies, they actually send out a drone. IBM had done this early on. They send out a drone, they take pictures, and then they look at the pictures and say, does this looks like it's going to break? Is there a damage? Does it need fixing? So any kind of it's basically computer vision with lot of images, and just looking for damages or odd anomaly in the production process and the like. So some of you might have actually taken my LinkedIn course on this. Let me go back. So if you go, the easiest way to get to my LinkedIn courses, I don't know if that is the best way to tell you this, but this is the easiest way I can tell you without you remembering any URL or anything. Don't even go to my profile. If you search for my name, this is where I say names and spellings are important. You search on anybody's name, LinkedIn will say people, posts, companies, blah, 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 right? And then if you click on courses, if that person has LinkedIn courses as an instructor, then all the courses will show up. So my newest one I've been seeing many of you come from is this no-code generative AI for business professionals, right? All my courses are about 40 minutes or 1 hour and very succinct and hands-on exercises, but not too long, right? Because most of you are busy working professionals and don't have time for that. So my original course, many of you have taken. This is the no-code AI, and the no-code is with the dash, guys. So I know many of you say I couldn't find it, and I said no-code generative AI. Why did I not find it? It is no dash code. So it's the original one on AI, just learning AI, and this is the recent one on generative AI. So the one I'm talking to you about right now is called AI in Connected Products. So that is this one, right? And in here, you will actually, what I did is I focused on computer vision. I spoke about connected products and IoT and data from IoT for those of you who work on connected products. But I brought you here because vision systems is a big deal. And so if you are interested in vision systems, and if you want to understand computer vision conceptually, but if you want to understand different kind of computer vision models and get an explanation of what these models are, how mission models are built with image classification, right? That kind of thing. So that is covered here. So what I was giving you about the example outside before we got in here was about vision systems looking at things. And that is what Amazon was doing in their walkout store. So you could actually, keep shopping continuously, and it'll take things in and out. As you take things in and out of your shopping cart, it would actually, keep track. Exactly, right? So in all angles, they had cameras, which was watching. And the news is that the walkout stores, Amazon has ditched their stores, or they shut down their stores. And why did they do that? Because they found that it is not the failure of computer vision. It's because they could not just have cameras watching, get the data, and then have some annotation done, and in a very cost-effective way, because they're running a business and this needs to make business sense for them. And what they had to do was they had thousands of people in India who were watching the cameras and watching these stores. And then they were actually doing manual annotations of these things so that it could come back, and then they could try and train the AI. So it was not just annotations to train the AI, but this was manual people watching this. This has come out in news about Facebook's Meta's spam filters, and they had people some faraway places who were actually watching this data or these videos. Especially, they had people manually watching to figure out what was obscene content, dangerous content, things like that. And it was very, very cost effective. It was not cost effective. It was very expensive for them, and it was very traumatic for the people. This was the one that came in news. It was very traumatic for the people to watch these things just like that, because it was part of the job and they must be paying them a penny somewhere, right? So Amazon shut that down. So one of the interesting things I saw related to that news this week is if we could know, if we say, oh, AI is doing good, AI is doing bad, don't do these use cases. Like Jessica was saying, don't think of just replacing people. Think of it as, enhancing human connection. And I just love that. That made my day. That comment made my day today. So thank you so much. I'm going to talk about it so many times. So what if we knew, when we hear about AI system and it's doing this amazing thing, and checkout, let's check out, right, that Amazon was doing, or spam filters and anything else that is AI. But what if it was actually a toll on humans somewhere else in the world? And it was dependent on humans. It's not just replacing humans' job, but it was actually dependent on human. So that question came up today. It is called, let me share that screen. So thank you, Antonio Casilli. So this came out saying this is called an acronym called AILDI. That's a mouthful. It's almost like a tongue twister for me. AILDI. It's basically AI Labor Disclosure Initiative. It simply asks a question saying, if tech companies were legally required to report the number of human workers that were concealed behind this automated solution. So this is not about AI just replacing a human. This is about AI employing a human to do a very derogatory job somewhere else. And so they're saying AI is doing this amazing thing. It's not the AI, it's actually the human, but you're not giving credit to the human. So what if that had to be disclosed? Was the discussion in Geneva on April 23rd. And this was the topic by ILO.org. And that is here. I'm going to add this. I'm going to see whether they have a recording of the Zoom link. In that case, I will share that. But I would recommend following Antonio Caselli from Paris, and Umarani, who was from ILO Research, who moderated this. And so this is not yet any kind of regulations. Remember, in the beginning, we were saying how many new LLMs are being launched and how many new regulations are being launched. Here is an example of a regulation that we need, because companies are not disclosing this, and companies are doing this and saying AI is doing this amazing thing. AI is doing amazing thing, but this is not one of them. But while I'm talking about that, I remember my friend Susanna Raj, who works with me teaching inclusive AI at Business School of AI. She's also my partner in crime in Global South in AI. She is an AI ethicist, very, very passionate about inclusion and diversity. And so she has a startup called AI for Nomads. And I'm going to share the URL for that. The reason I'm saying is her vision is to bring AI to marginalized communities for around the world. And so what she's done is she's built a vision annotation system on a mobile app. And then she wants to distribute this to migrant workers, displaced people anywhere in the world. and make them do the annotation and help the tech companies who want the annotation. So this is a nice match. So let me share that screen so you know what I'm talking about. It's AI for nomads, like a number 4 nomads, AI for nomads. And here's the detail. So if you have, if you're working on computer vision, if you took my course and you learn computer vision and you want to do annotation, this is an opportunity. This company can do that for you. They will do that with real people. It's disclosed that it's done by real people. And then they do some kind of profit sharing, the cost sharing, revenue sharing with the migrant workers. The goal is to bring this to people who are not educated. They're not engineers sitting in another country, but they are people who can just use a mobile app. They've built an app to be so easy to use to do the annotations. So that they can do that, and then they can introduce them to this whole idea and the world of AI, so that in the thinking is, if that person is not educated, is not able to learn AI, by giving this opportunity for them to do this easily, their children, their society will get introduced to AI and get into the opportunity. So that's kind of her vision on this. But I think it's a business opportunity. It's a very clean business opportunity, instead of outsourcing and people sitting and watching, and eventually you know, like Amazon saying, I can't handle this number of people that I have to pay and scale. It's easy if you kind of go through somebody who can do annotations. And there are tons of labeling annotation companies. And somebody had messaged me saying, is this annotations and labeling still valid in this world of LLM? I don't know LLMs which do labeling. And so it is still valid, but it has not been done in a very cost-effective way in the past. And so I think Susanna's approach, other than she being my friend, I think it is viable, because you're not investing in a big labeling system and a company that is doing in scale this, because she's come with labeling on the mobile app very easily, and it can be done by completely uneducated people. It's not just they're tech savvy, they can be uneducated people who just know to access a mobile, and there are a lot of mobiles in everywhere in the world these days. So that's a discussion for another time. If you want to see different kind of Bluetooth applications, is just coming up in my head. But if you did this AI in IoT connected, AIoT or AI in connected products course of mine, you will see a lot more examples. Okay, so we have reached past, almost near the end of our time. So one of the other things, so there Llama 3 launched. There is a Good Tech Fest that is happening in Utah, which I think is worth checking out. So I will share that. And then there is an open medical LLM leaderboard that was launched that I'm going to share. Cohere has a whole open source toolkit that also came out this week. So it's been a lot of interesting things. I also found this thing called California Institute for Technology and Democracy. It's called CITED, CITED, which is California Institute for Technology and Democracy, which is working on everything related to fake news and fake cloning and whatnot, that are misinformation that will affect the elections, specifically in US elections. So that's an organization that's working on that. And this bunch of interesting women, I've told you about Abhinaya Mahendran. She's one of our researchers who presented at New Rips from Global South in AI, works in India. She's also part of the Aya team, which did like hundreds of languages were launched by Aya, which is the open source side of Cohere for language models. And she runs this thing called WTM Coimbatore. And she hosts a bunch of events. So there's one happening about tech frame, how do responsible tech frameworks work. I think hers is about Gemma. This is the open source model from Google. The hers is about Gemma. The other one on May 2nd is about responsible tech frameworks. Support a rights respective tech ecosystem. That came from Ravit Dolan. And then I am very interested in this third one on May 3rd. I already told you May 1st is Weekly Wednesday with Bonaventure. If you follow Business School of AI. Here you will get all the latest events that's happening. Or I'll put all of this anyway in the Jamthe newsletter. Thank you to Peria Serin. She's the one who sends you the newsletter. So on May 3rd, there is this thing called UC Grand Slam, which is University of California runs this once a year. And they have a competition of their researchers. Let me show you. These are brilliant researchers. Some of these titles might not mean anything till we watch it. I'm going to go watch this on May 3rd. So that's next Friday. And these are researchers. This is PhD researchers. They've been working for a long time. They get to come and present their work, and they get feedback and all that stuff. So it's meant to develop communication skills and get feedback for the researchers, but it's run like a competition. And we have poster sessions typically in universities, but this is run like a competition. So they focused on the communication big time. There was something on healthy forests and healthy humans, whether, on mental health, self-talk. I love this magic of language understanding. I'm definitely going to go attend that. It's a whole spectrum of gut health and bacterium's journey, two different ones and then one about the brain and the Alzheimer's disease. So there's a lot of interesting one. So I would recommend you, check it out and cheer for the winners and let's see who wins. Okay. And what else do I have? So I told you about events. I told you about the that job on the curbside job, the fellowship. So one burning question, I have an answer, but I kind of want, I'm kind of thinking it would be worth having a conversation with you guys is, what is the best way, what is the best way to keep learning AI? Because each week while I'm talking to you, new stuff is happening, and then there's so much stuff happening, and I find a big excitement among data scientists. One of the things that I teach in my class is, how do you think differently if you're a data scientist versus if you are a product person, business person, designer, anybody else who is non-coding? What is your thought process? And one discussion we end up with, okay, I want to see who is out here. Things that I teach in my classes. Sorry. I just pressed I unmuted my LinkedIn where I'm seeing you. So question. Do you have the answer for what is the difference in how a data scientist sees AI and product person, business person, designer, everybody else sees the AI? What is AI? What does it do? Thank you for joining. I see more people coming in. We've been having a fun discussion almost for an hour. I'm sure LinkedIn will allow you to watch this because this is recorded. But everything that I'm sharing here is going to be at Jamthe newsletter. I added it here in the comment. And we had a fun discussion about autonomous vehicles and curbside data and jobs and annotations of vision systems. This has been an amazing session. I'm so happy for all of you who are cheering for me, all of you who are commenting, and you give me hope on what we are doing. Because in the world of AI, you hear about the reason you have so many regulations is because all the bad stuff. Even I was talking about one of the regulation needed to say whether human labor is used behind the scene when we are cheering for AI. I see more people coming in. We are just getting ready to wrap up, guys. I hope it's okay that you watch this, and then I'll meet you next week. I love answering your questions, especially if you're my student, if you're taken any of my classes. I definitely want to do that. So the last question for the day is, what is the best way to learn AI? To get to that, I had another question, which is, what's the difference between looking at building AI? Let me get very precise. When you think about AI and how do you measure your job in AI, what's the difference between how a data scientist thinks about it and how a business user thinks about it? And the answer, I'm going to give the answer, but I want to see whether anybody has it. I have a minute I can take to dilly-dally a little bit before I give you the answer. Can somebody do that? Can somebody tell me? What is the difference? So just think about you if you are a data scientist, tell me how you think about AI. How do you measure AI? Let me say, how do you measure the success of AI? If you're a data scientist, what do you look at? If you're an engineer, what do you look at? If you say, okay, AI is amazing, I built a whole new, if you're hearing about a whole new, you can Google this, you can talk to ChatGPT if you want to give me an answer. I don't mind. If you, every time you're hearing all through the week, you're saying a whole new language model was launched. And this is even, it's better than GPT 3.5 or GPT-4 or Mistral 7B. And there's all this stuff going on in this LLM Gen AI world. What are they talking about? They're talking about performance. That's the metric that the data scientist is doing, because data scientist's job is to build the AI to perform. What does perform in an AI sense mean? That you ask the AI to do something, it's doing its job. It is giving a correct answer. So, and it is giving with a high degree of statistical confidence, and that's what is called as performance. And when you compare LLM, there might be a lot more different metrics of performance. I can talk to you about it if that is of interest. We can pick this conversation of what is the different metrics and performance metrics for LLMs. But the idea is that it's okay. I see a comment here. It's the exponential growth that is a huge deal. That's why it's so different than previous technological leaps. Fantastic answer. Fantastic answer. So this is what I like. This is a designer thinking, right? This is a very ethical thinking, and you're thinking about AI not just as I'm building this piece of technology, awesome, it is doing what it's supposed to do, I give it an A. That's great. You need to, because it should not break. You build something, it should not break. It should work the way it's supposed to work. So that's table stakes, right? But to think about that it needs to do more, and especially we cannot think of Gen AI and LLM and say, it's doing good, it's doing bad, but I don't know whether this is just another wave of technology. It is not. It is here to stay. It is here to grow. It might not be static and stay, because there are so many people involved in improving it in so many dimensions. So there is a lot of possibilities of what it can do and what you think it can do, because as soon as you get involved, you're going to do more things with it. But the way to think about it is, what can it do? And like Jessica was saying, it's the exponential growth. So think about when you're building something now, right? What can it do that it can scale so much that it can, and especially Jessica was talking about, don't think about just replacing humans, about human connection. And so now if it can scale human connection in an exponential way, to some extent, social networks picked up because they shrunk the world and connected us with each other so easily, right? But then it came up with all its misuse and disuse, and that's a totally different world we are with misinformation, right? So that is the thinking of a person who is not just building, but thinking about another dimension. As a designer, as a business person, you're thinking about people, you're thinking about customers. So that is where you're going. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. So coming back to the last question I was saying is, how do you learn AI? You can take a course. You can code if you want to code. What else can you do? As an average person, anybody who is watching this, one of my students, you can take my courses, of course, but what else can you do on a daily basis if you want to learn AI? The big deal about AI is it's everywhere. It's pervasive. Whether you like it or not, it's all over your phone. It's in all the cameras that's watching us. It's everywhere, all around us. You open any app, any system. I go to LinkedIn. Let me show you one example. I go to LinkedIn and I see a post. So I was showing today when I was talking to you, I was showing you various different things, right? I was telling you Bonaventure has launched this course, KiwiBot has done this, and I was telling you various things. So you may just go to LinkedIn and you might see a post by somebody. If you scroll down, one of the things LinkedIn has done is they've integrated an AI, Gen AI, so that you can chat with the post. And related to the topic of the post, you can ask questions, and what does this mean, and what is large language model, and what is ethics, and why is this important, and does AI improve process? And you get into a whole chat mode. They've done that integration in LinkedIn. Even if I write a post, as soon as I type and say I'm going to host Sudha live, blah 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 details, I see an option, rewrite with AI. It gives me a generative AI option to rewrite my entire text. I'm very proud of being a good writer, and it writes it amazingly. And then you can say, I don't want this, and you can go back to your own post also. So my point is every single AI. So while you're chatting with somebody, there is autocorrect, there is new kind of AI image generation that is showing up in WhatsApp, in your messaging system, in all kinds of products. So they're integrating AI and especially generative AI everywhere in every possible thing we are using. So the easiest thing is use it, try it. And then based on your interest, your job role, you say, if I were a designer, how would I design this? From whatever I've learned in this other course about it, AI is trained by data, it's making prediction. How will I use it? What is happening here? What is the data they're using? How have they trained it? What kind of model must be running behind the scene? If I was a product manager, how would I build this? If I was the designer, how would I build the design of this differently? If they did user research for this, who's the user for this? Am I the user for this? Are there different kind of users? What is the persona they must have thought about? So anything that you would do as a job is becoming an AI job. So you need to develop the skill of thinking of your job as an AI job by enhancing your skills, your thinking process, your capabilities for AI. And the easiest way to do is play with AI, and it's all around you. It's everywhere. You don't have a choice of not touching and being in front of AI. So why don't you not put it to work and make it teach you? So that's what I do all week long as I'm interacting with different AI. I also look at courses and stuff saying, okay, I'm going to talk to my students. By Friday, I need to give them something. Maybe this is useful. I take a lot of different things. I try a lot of things. I try a lot of different products, and then I kind of try to break them. My thing is I try to break them and see, is this really good? Is this how they should have built it? Is this the right way to do this? Because a lot of AI is not correct, right? The AI is making prediction, it's incorrect. It has this thing called confusion matrix where it will have false positives. So I try to break it and see whether, what is it doing and how they built it. In fact, one of the things I teach for my designer class is when it has a false positive or false negative, what should be the design flow and how do you capture that and keep the delighting the customer journey as a good experience. So I try to break it and see, what have they done? How have they doing it? Most of the times it's nicely designed, but I learned something in that exercise. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. My latest greatest thing is there is a hackathon from Monster API, which is a LLM fine-tuning product, which has a no-code product in there. So I'm doing that hackathon with a couple other friends. So I will learn something about fine-tuning and a little bit more than what is included in my no-code generative AI for business professionals course. So take that course if you have not done that, because I'm going to come back and talk to you about fine-tuning. And I would love to take that class. You argue with ChatGPT. Awesome. So what I was showing you, if you just go find my name, thank you, Jessica. And I am happy to answer your question because that is what I do. Here, I'm just adding this. If you just look at you search for my name, it shows all my 3 courses. And then you will be able to find me. If you want, I can come back and post the link for the course. In fact, if you go to my profile, I have a featured link of my latest generative AI no dash code generative AI for business professionals course. If you click that and go to the course, you'll get that free for 24 hours. You can take that course. So I would love your feedback, and I would love to see what you're doing with this course. And I love engaging with my students, hear about what you're doing and how you're taking this forward. And together we will find answers if you find something that I've not covered in the class. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time and your engagement and giving me hope with amazing answers that you gave here. Thank you so much. Okay, bye. I will see you at Weekly Wednesday on Wednesday with Bonaventure. Otherwise, I'll see you back here on Friday. Okay, bye. Bye-bye. Thank you. I am going to stop the live stream right now and then call it a day. Okay, and I'm heading out into the weekend. Hope you have a fabulous weekend and stay safe, everybody. Bye.